The cage door dropped open with a metal crash that echoed across the entire camp, and every human soldier froze except me. My name is Owen Marsh, and I was standing closest to the pit when the creature climbed out of it. It was the size of a delivery truck. Its skin was black and cracked like old stone, and 6 legs ended in curved hooks that dug into the ground with every step. Its head was almost nothing but a mouth, lined with rows of teeth that folded in on themselves like a machine built only to grind. It let out a sound that was not quite a roar and not quite a screech, something in between that made my ears ring. Around me, the Thren delegation stood in a wide circle, watching us with 6 eyes each, waiting for our reaction. Their leader, a tall being named Vezra Cole, raised one long arm toward the creature with obvious pride. "This is the Gorak," Vezra Cole said, the translator box on his chest turning his clicks and whistles into flat human words. "The apex hunter of our homeworld. No creature survives an encounter with it. We show you this so you understand who you are dealing with." I did not step back. None of us did. Behind me, I heard boots shifting on the dirt, weapons being raised just slightly, safety switches clicking off without a sound. We were trained for this. Threat assessment first, panic never. But then Priya Nandan, our field medic, leaned toward me and whispered something that changed the whole moment. "Owen," she said, "does that thing look a little bit like a crab to you?" I almost laughed, but I kept my face still, because the Thren were watching us closely, studying every twitch of our expressions like they were reading a book written in a language they barely understood. The Gorak let out another screech, and pulled hard against the thick chain locked around its front leg. The chain held, but only just. Sparks flew where the metal scraped against a steel post driven into the ground. Every Thren soldier tightened their grip on their weapons, ready in case the leash failed. "It is trained to attack anything that moves outside our camp boundary," Vezra Cole continued. "We wanted your people to see it, so that you understand the price of stepping outside the terms of our agreement." I understood the message. It was simple: behave, or face the monster. But Priya was still staring at the creature with narrowed eyes, tilting her head one way, then the other, like she was studying a puzzle instead of a threat. "Corporal Marsh," she said quietly, using my rank so it would sound official. "Request permission to run a quick scan on it." I glanced at her. "A scan for what?" "Biological composition," she said. "Nutritional value. You know, the usual." For a second I thought I misheard her. Then I realized I hadn't. "You want to know if it's edible," I said. "I want to know if it's edible," she confirmed, already pulling the small scanner from her belt. Vezra Cole's eyes swiveled toward us immediately, all 6 of them locking onto the scanner in her hand. "What is she doing?" "Standard field procedure," I said, keeping my voice calm and professional. "We evaluate any new organism for nutritional value, in case it becomes a resource for future missions. It is not an insult, it is caution. We do the same thing with your local plants." "This is not a plant," Vezra Cole said, his voice rising with something between disbelief and offense. "This is the terror of our world. Entire villages were lost to its ancestors before we tamed even one." "Understood," I said. "Still need the scan." Priya aimed the small device at the Gorak, and the machine beeped softly as it processed data. The creature thrashed against its chain again, snapping its jaws at the air, and every Thren soldier flinched, but our people did not move an inch. We had seen worse things than an angry animal on a leash. We had seen worse things standing right next to us in training simulations that were designed to break our nerve on purpose. The scan finished in under a minute. Priya read the results out loud, plain and clear, the way she always reported medical data, with no excitement and no fear in her voice. "High protein content," she said. "Low fat. No toxins detected in muscle tissue. Mild toxins present only in the digestive glands, easily avoidable during preparation. Overall nutritional value is excellent." There was a pause. A long one. Then Daniel Otieno, our supply officer, who had been standing quietly near the back of our group, stepped forward with his tablet already open. "That is roughly the same protein density as bison," he said. "Maybe a little higher." Vezra Cole stared at us, all 6 eyes wide, his mouth opening and closing without any sound coming out for a moment. The other Thren delegates exchanged confused glances, clicking softly to each other in their own language, too fast for the translator to catch every word. "You brought this creature out to frighten us," I said, trying to explain gently, the way you might explain something to a friend who misunderstood a joke. "We understand it is dangerous. We respect that. But our people are trained to see every unfamiliar organism as a possible resource first, and a threat second. It is how we survive on worlds where nothing is guaranteed. I hope you understand this is not disrespect. It is sacred," Vezra Cole said, his voice tight. It has killed thousands across generations. It is a symbol of our strength. And it has excellent protein content, Priya added, not unkindly, simply stating a fact the way she always did. The Gorak screeched again, straining harder against the chain, and this time one of the bolts in the ground groaned under the pressure. A few Thren soldiers stepped back on instinct, but our formation held steady, calm and unmoved, because fear was not the emotion running through our camp anymore. Curiosity was. "Sir," Daniel said, addressing me directly now, "should I flag this species for potential food resource classification? If future missions land near this region, it could reduce our dependency on transported rations." I looked at Vezra Cole, whose expression had shifted from pride to something closer to disbelief, mixed with quiet horror. "We will note it," I said to Daniel, keeping my tone professional. "Pending permission from our hosts, of course." Vezra Cole said nothing for several seconds. The Gorak thrashed once more, and this time the chain link finally gave a small crack, though it held for now. The tension in the Thren ranks rose sharply, weapons lifting halfway, eyes darting between the creature and us, unsure which threat required more attention. I made a decision then, the kind of decision that gets written into after-action reports with a single short sentence, but feels much larger in the moment it happens. "Move the civilians back," I said quietly to my team. "If that chain breaks, we handle it. No panic, we assess, and if needed, we neutralize the threat calmly." My team moved without hesitation, spreading into a wide defensive formation, each person finding their position instantly, the way we had rehearsed 100 times before on training grounds far from here. No one shouted, no one ran. It was almost strange how quiet the tension became, like the calm before a storm that everyone expected but no one feared. The chain cracked fully seconds later, and the Gorak surged forward with a speed that seemed impossible for something so large. The Thren scattered, shouting warnings in their own language, weapons firing wildly into the air instead of at the creature, their formation collapsing into chaos. Our team did not scatter. We moved as one unit, exactly as trained, forming a half-circle around the creature's charging path, cutting off its access to the fleeing Thren delegates. Priya called out distance markers in a calm, steady voice, and Daniel adjusted our spacing with quick hand signals. I gave the order to fire only when the Gorak crossed the final safety line we had quietly marked in our minds the moment we arrived. It was over in less than a minute. The creature collapsed a short distance from where Vezra Cole stood frozen, his 6 eyes wide with something that looked like disbelief, mixed with reluctant respect. Silence settled over the camp. Then Priya walked forward, scanner still in hand, and knelt beside the fallen creature, checking its condition with the same calm focus she used on everything else. "Meat is still good," she said, glancing up at me. "No damage to the primary muscle groups." Vezra Cole stared at her, then at me, then at the rest of our team standing calm and steady around the fallen predator that had, only minutes earlier, been presented as an unstoppable symbol of terror. "You are a strange people," he said finally, his voice quieter now, almost thoughtful. "We get that a lot," I said. Later that evening, after the tension had faded and the Thren had quietly moved the creature away for what they called proper burial rites, Vezra Cole approached me alone, without his usual guards or advisors nearby. "Corporal Marsh," he said carefully, "if my council agrees, would your people be interested in a trade arrangement involving the Gorak population in the Northern Territories?" I looked at him for a long moment, then allowed myself a small smile. "Depends on the price," I said, "and whether your chefs know anything about seasoning." Vezra Cole did not fully understand the joke, but he nodded slowly anyway, as if filing the information away for later study, the same way our own scientists studied everything new and unfamiliar on this world. That night, back in our quarters, Daniel updated the mission log with a short, simple entry that would later become the most quoted line in our unit's entire deployment history. Local apex predator identified. Threat neutralized. Nutritional value confirmed excellent. Recommend further evaluation for long-term resource planning. Priya read it over his shoulder and laughed quietly, shaking her head. "They tried to scare us with a monster," she said, "and we asked for the recipe." I looked out through the window at the darkening alien sky, thinking about how strange it was that fear and curiosity could live so close together in the same moment, and how often it was curiosity that won. "That," I said, "is exactly the point."